Coming to you live from Ship Showdown headquarters, let's go into election night coverage. So, the Ship Showdown is into its 5th night, and we have an incredible showdown to show for you. Now, the C2 Hercules cruised to victory on the first night. You had the Argo Mole in an attempted upset against the Reclaimer, but failed. We had the Carrack make an easy win over the Connie Andromeda, and the Empov Cargo cruise with its social support way past the Freelancer Max with record numbers for such a small ship. Now, tonight, the incredible coverage continues. The latest records that we have is a dead heat, a literal 4,892 votes to 4,892 votes for the Cutlass Black and the 600i. But let's refresh the page. Ah, what's that? Refresh the page. Let's see who's winning. We are down to just over 14 hours remaining as of recording, and we can see that the 600i has grown into a lead over the Cutlass Black. Over 110 votes in its direction. This is not an insurmountable amount for such a strong candidate. A large amount of the population of Stanton fly Cutlass Blacks, and it's an everyday working class ship that gets the job done in multi-role. Versus the 600i. An upstart, because of its heritage and its smaller number of owners, it would be believed that it would be harder for it to beat a ship like the Cutlass Black. However, it is slowly gaining. Part of that is belief that there is enough skins for the Cutlass series that are great skins, including a Best in Show from a previous year, and the 600i has limited to no skins. The number one skin for it is for the Concierge of incredible amount of money spent. Those type of customers are few and far between. So it would be very interesting to see a skin that covers all 600i Explorers. Do note that if the 600i is modularized in the future, where the touring module could be added, it would be interesting to see if it retains its Best in Show skin, or will that be necessary to lose in order to make the switch. I think someone who owns the 600i Executive Edition would be able to answer that question. Now, we have a lot of interesting topics to go over. For starters, last night, like I mentioned before, we had the Empov Cargo with its upset over the Freelancer Max. And once again, a working class common ship that many people use day in, day out for hauling, versus the Empov Cargo, a ship that does not even have a quantum device. It is a support vessel in the truest sense of the word, but it is a dang good for a support vessel and one of the best in its class. Heck, it basically has its own class, if you don't count the Empov personnel, which really just has a different paint job, and it has a different module pre-attached to the bottom of it. Both ships can carry each other's modules, so basically they're the same ship. Now, let's take a moment to talk about the Carrack. There has been some incredible developments. CIG Zyloh has gone on the record now and said that he would paint his face orange and have the Argo logo, if I remember correctly, put on his face if the Carrack is beaten by the Empov Cargo, because he is that certain that the Carrack will win. And I'm inclined to look at the stats and look at the excitement of the vote and say the Carrack has a strong following, cruising to a victory above the Connie Andromeda, with Connie only having 5,851 votes to the Carrack's 13,448, versus the Empov Cargo beating the Freelancer Max with 11,331 votes to the Freelancer Max 7,681. So what we're kind of seeing here is that there's a strong devotion to the Carrack, or at the very least, less attachment to the Connie Andromeda. It would be fun to kind of go through these statistics as we go through this series and do a little bit of digging. Like, for example, I believe that the C2 will beat the Reclaimer for better or worse. I see the C2 Hercules. It was the first night, to be fair, so it has the highest amount of votes, 15,538 votes to the Caterpillar's 5,670 votes. However, I look at the Reclaimer Argo Mole fight, and I see only 8,000 to 7,000 votes. So once again, the bump was for the C2, but I believe it will ride some momentum into the semifinals easily. And it's certainly a good year for this ship, especially when the Reclaimer already has its Best in Show slot skin. I believe that the only reason the Carrack will have such an easy time getting into the semis is because the Empov it was a fight the power type establishment joke. It was something that was fun and exciting, and it's a ship that everyone can get. Don't forget, you can easily either purchase one outright right now, or you can get a CCU for a very reasonable price to get to the MPUF cargo. By the way, if you have a Cyclone or something like that, or a motorcycle, it may be worth it to do the upgrade to at least the MPUF cargo, even though MPUF will be far more valuable in the future than a land-based vehicle. And you can still pick it up now, enjoy it, and then upgrade again to something else in the future. So, to the followers of the MPUF, I say to you, I I just don't see that it'll beat the Carrack, but I think it's going to give it a hell of a fight. You have the social media presence of the MPUF cargo and all that push. You have the Carrack being a tried and true, one of the first true quasi-capital ships, and it's truly an amazing vessel with all sorts of value to it, especially with the Cutlass Red being nerfed soon. The Carrack is going to become that much more valuable. It's one of the few ships that will allow regeneration, where somebody can do different things and have higher tier healing and even respawn on site. Regenerate on site, as in you die and you have partial injuries fulfilled, you come back on the Carrack if the Carrack's within range and it doesn't blow up. So this is going to become a very valuable tool, especially as the Apollo is not in game yet, and we don't know when the Apollo is. Hopefully we'll have a surprise announcement or at least a status update on October 9th, but it appears for Digital CitizenCon. However, it appears that it's still in the long down the road. So when I look at this, I see that MPUF cargo, I see the Carrack, and its value only increasing and increasing, and I see the Carrack edging out the MPUF, but I do see a lot of votes for the MPUF. And I think it put up a strong showing this year. Don't count it out. I think if it wasn't in a bracket with the Carrack, it would have had a good shot at getting to the semis. And it still has a chance. I'm not writing it off completely. We'll see in a few days when this goes through the full 16 and then it rolls through to the next round twos. We'll see how it goes. But on to the next couple days. I believe that the 600i will edge out the Cutlass Black unless we have a big upswelling from the Pacific time zone in the U.S. and then into the Asian time zones and Australian time zones. We still have 14 more hours. But in those prime times, unless there's a huge upswelling for the Cutlass Black, I think the 600i is going to be at least able to get to round 2. Now, what's interesting about this is the Cutlass Black supporters seem to be posting up in different Discords a lot of information about the Kraken. And I think that makes sense. So if any ship of the Drake team that they doesn't already have a Best in Show skin, but unfortunately is not in game yet, I would love to see a Best in Show skin for a capital class vessel like the Kraken. I would, don't get me wrong. Especially the base Kraken, and I'm going to get into something else in a minute about this. But heck, even for the privateer as well. So different years probably, but I could see them. They're not in game. And we're talking about the Cutlass Black. The Cutlass Black already has a Best in Show skin. I think it's time for this Day in the Sun for the 600i to at least have a shot at it. This is the first year that they're going to have a shot at it, and it would be a nice, especially the Explorer variant. That's a very strong ship. It needs a lot of work. It's about to go into its Golden Pass early next year. It'll be coming out of that, hopefully, and it'll be looking pretty good. And that Best in Show skin would be perfect for them to be put in their mindset for the Best in Show and also doing the Golden Pass at the same time. That's a nice combination. And I think the lighting right now is really strong. There's a lot of lighting work getting done. There's a lot of interesting reworks getting done on textures. I think it'll be really, really a beautiful skin. This year's semifinalists, especially any undergoing Golden Pass anytime soon, really are going to shine. And on to a recent Golden Pass, the Retaliator Bomber. Now, it's up against the Defender tomorrow, so I'm not going to go through the whole time zone thing again. I've gotten some heck for that, but you get the point. In 14 hours, the vote's going to change for the next 24 for the Retaliator Bomber and the Retaliator Bomber and the Banu Defender. Now, I've made the case now that the Retaliator Bomber, it's unfortunate it's not the Retaliator base, and then also includes the Bomber, because the Bomber is just a Retaliator base with the 2 torpedo modules already pre-installed. You can remove those torpedo modules and put in cargo, drop ship capabilities for up to 12 fully armed Marines. You can even put in a place for people that are being taken from place to place in the system. like a short range living quarters, or living quarters for the captain. If the captain wants even better living quarters than he already has or she has, you have that capability. So there's some really interesting modules for the Retaliator, and that's just the ones we know about. So very exciting ship, very interesting multi-role ship. It's a shame it's only the Retaliator bomber. That means if you own the Retaliator base, you will not be getting the best in show skin as we understand it right now. Hopefully that will change. But right now, the type of ship this is, that's the only ship going to get it. Now we've seen multiple paints in the past that are just paints, to be fair. That's the exterior of the ship, paints that change the look of multiple of the same variant of ship. However, in this case, the Retaliator Bomber is not getting that. And I will add that a lot of times the best in show skins have lighting changes on the inside. They have some possible changes to the literal the materials that they use inside. So, okay, I understand, at least for some auxiliary things and some looks and such. I get it. Maybe that's not possible. But it would have been nice to see that be done for the Retaliator base and the Bomber, that the best in show skin could be fitted to either one. So if you're going to want this, you're going to need to pick it up during this sale. I would wait until, if you actually do see it hit the semifinal, if you're very excited about that. For the Banu Defender, on the other hand, I believe this would be an incredible opportunity that is unlikely to happen. I love the Banu Defender. I think it has the most beautiful warp animation in the game. If you haven't seen it at least once, next time there's a free fly at the very least, or if you see someone flying around, please hit them up to get in their co-pilot seat, because at the very least, because it is incredibly cool. It basically projects the energy around the front of the ship all the way forward, and it's this really cool green energy effect. It's truly unique, and I cannot wait until we see the Banu Merchantman come into the game, because it'll be even more special on something that large. But anyway, the Defender's really a unique ship. I love the look. I love the feel of it. It is a little heavy for my taste for a fighter, but it is very cool. And I truly love it. I have it as a loaner for my Banu Merchantman, highly recommended. So that means I will not get the best in show skin for it if it wins to the semi, because it's just a loaner. I don't have a defender in my fleet right now. I may pick one up. I see these semis as a great incentive. I wouldn't pick up any if you're excited about skins, paints. I would wait until they actually make the semis before you pick it up. You will have that opportunity. It's not like you have to have it right beforehand. You can literally have the victory and then pick it up, and you'll still get it for free. For anybody who owns it, gets it. So before, during the sale, you can get it. So I honestly see the fight as between the Bomber for the Retaliators and the 600i Explorer. And if this holds true, and this holds true, that's a lot of ifs, I see the Retaliators winning. And that's not the worst thing. I would love to see the 600i win as well. So either way, I see it as a win. I think both ships certainly deserve their opportunity at the very least. That's all I ask for. We'll see what the community thinks. It's after all of our decisions, and it's all of our votes. And you can see my votes, by the way. MPUV gang, I did vote for the cargo. I did hold true. I do not know how I'm going to vote for the Carrack versus the cargo. I'm still trying to wait that decision. And I will show you all when it's time. But it's time to make that call. But yeah. So I voted for the Herc, the Mole, the Connie Andromeda, the MPUV, and the 600i Explorer. And as I alluded to at the beginning of this video, I kind of made a little bit of a light thing about it, making it like it's election night, etc. joke, and make a little skit, because it feels that way. There's a lot of energy in the air, especially tonight when I take a look at the Cuddy Black and the 600i being this close, this incredibly close. I mean, you just take a look at it. I bet if I refresh it again, we'll probably see the lead either gain or lessen. And I can see that it looks like it's about the same gain. There's votes just pouring in. Very exciting. It's great to see the community this active. It's great to see this much excitement. I can't tell you, if you're not already on the Discords, hit them up. There's plenty of them. I'll gladly provide you some links offline if you want to reach out to me, as always. But we'll talk about that as it keeps going. The MSR and the Razor, I think this is, once again, I stand by what I said earlier. Even based on these early results, I see the MSR as an easy win on this section. I think it's going to beat out the Razor. I've already heard some folks grumbling about this because they believe the MSR has enough skins already, paints, and that's fair, but The Razor's just too niche. The Razor just it doesn't hit enough, ticks enough boxes. There's not enough owners. I hesitate to suggest it's going to beat out the MSR. And honestly, it's kind of Crusader's year. I mean, you got Orison coming in. You've got the showroom. You've got the color scheme of Orison, as almost all the previews that have been released by CIG for this year's IAE are basically Crusader colors. So this is the year, if there's any year to have the C2 Herc and the MSR get a best in show skin, this is the year. But we'll see. It certainly has a strong contention below it. You've got the Gladius versus the Saber. Either one of these ships will certainly have a big following. You got the PvP following from the Gladius side of things, and also the Squadron 42 diehards. You also have people that just like polished ships. The Gladius has been well polished for Squadron 42. It is an incredible ship. And then you also have the Saber. You've got the Saber, a semi-stealth space superiority fighter that's ready for a golden pass. Here's another example of if this does make it to the semifinals, it would be perfect timing for this to have that work. So it's not long either. This is going to fly by. Last year, I showed you in my previous video, I showed you my votes last year, and you saw that I even missed a couple because it is every single night, fast, heavy action. Every single night there's a vote for all these days in a row, but it's fast. This is going to fly by. And we're going to find these semifinalists very quickly. And remember, every single one of these ships is for sale, and every single one of these ships you can CCU2 today, as many days as you want throughout this process. Also, at the end of this, traditionally there is an event where you can, let's see, I can't click it yet. CIGY. But at the end of this is usually a free fly for the final four semifinalists. Also, you can buy them again, obviously, and they pre-come with the best in show slots already put on there as like a model. And don't forget, you can always change the paints. I always have that question of, well, am I stuck with it if I buy the best in show variant? It's like, no, just because it's pre-set up with that setup, you will not have, you're not stuck with it forever. You can change it out. So if you are on a ship, like for example, the Cutlass Black, if this becomes a semifinalist and it has all those different paints, I love the ghoulish skin for the Cutlass Black. I think that green, that metallic green is just awesome looking on it, actually. I put it on my Cutty Red all the time to mask the fact it's a Cutty Red and make it slightly more difficult for players to identify. Obviously, they can still look in the ping system or hit the next available target, but it's makes me feel better. And it also looks really cool. So that's one example of a paint that you can put on all the time, and you can still put on your best in show best. I've talked to many people that have the best in show skins paints, and that is currently the configuration, is that it's just one more paint in your arsenal to put on. And when the Carrack got its best in show, by the way, it already has one. This one, I believe it came with the Carrack t-shirt as well. So a lot of times the best in shows come with a nice little add-on to them that makes it a little something more special. And I would argue that that is probably another reason that people may be voting for the best in shows paint again for the same ship. They want a different color scheme. They want the extra add-ons. They want to just nod that their ship is one of the best in this, one of the favorites of the entire game. It's a winner, and it deserves to be considered as such. But to me, like I said before, the semi-finalists are my winners to me. I think all four of them are. And that is where I differ in my skit from the beginning about it making it an election night type skit to what a winner truly is to me. I don't think we have that much level in any world of being able to take people that are semi-finalists and go, you know what, you're all winners. But they are. Finalist and champion, whatever, you can have your adventure, and I'll cover them. I will. But the semi-finalists are where I finally just nod and I just go, yep, they belong there or they don't, and I'm glad to see some make it there, especially newcomers that do not have their day in the sun yet. I think there's a lot of population that do not get to enjoy that. I think also, aside from the Reclaimer, there's a lot of industrial ships that just don't make it. So the MPOV cargo, for all of its problems, I think it's a really cool ship to even have a chance. Because I'll be brutally honest with you, I don't think the Freelancer Max is that strong of a ship. the Connie Taurus would have been a good ship to compete here. Or, I just don't want to seem as I'm a Connie fanboy here, or the Prospector. The Prospector is an amazing ship. I don't know how it's not on the top 16 every year. It is one of the ships that truly made me my first 100,000 UEC. And I I don't mind that much anymore, but I do it. And when I do it, I pull out my prospector. My mold just sits at home. I don't really know what else to say. You can buy it in game for a reasonable price from New Deal right in Loreville and get rocking. You can rent it until you can afford to buy it. It's an incredible ship. It's a shame not to see the prospector. It's not the only ship. I mean, but so there's some unknowns that I've always wondered about these top 16. And I think it's part of the process of this social outreach at the beginning, the community call, as they're calling it. Um, they did this last year. They did it this year. It's basically the more posts you have on Twitter and on Spectrum that cover specific ships, the they somehow tally that up and then they say, okay, this ship has the most. It's not. I don't think it's the quality of it. I think it's just the sheer amount of support it has by people posting. So I just I almost wish it was random. Dare I say it? I almost wish it was just random of flyable ships because it seems like you have the MPUV cargo, the Carrack, uh, the Reclaimer. These are just the obvious ones, and the MSR was a given. There's a lot of push for that, and it's a beautiful ship, and it deserves that right. But there's a lot on this board that I think the easiest fix, even if we were keeping the social part for this system, would be to just say, look, if you won last year, you sit a year out. If you get a best in show skin, you sit a year out, and you'll be available 2 years down the road. You're back eligible again because that would at least give everything a chance. I just have some thoughts there, and I felt like I thought this type of discussion is healthy because it's just something I've been thinking about, and as this process goes on, despite the excitingness of it, I just it's a very strange combination, and I look at this and I can't help but wonder if it's on purpose that it's Drake v Origin. There is certain discords and on Reddit that there's kind of like this Drake is good or bad and Origin is good or bad, and it's very common to have those discussions, and it really devolves the discussion into those levels. And sometimes it's fun to have that tussle, but at the same time, I own Drake ships, I own Origin ships. I love them both for different reasons, and I feel they both deserve their day in the sun. Like I just got done telling you, my Cutlass Red is an excellent workhorse. We use it even on the Division set. We use it all the time up until the regeneration is going to be taken off of it, the respawn capability, but it's technical regeneration now. Um, it is in a place that is truly unique. I believe there's a Cutlass for everyone, dare I say it. Uh, I can't believe I'm saying this, but there is. I mean, I would love. There's probably one more, but I'm not going to go into Dream World right now. I'm just going to stick with what's real. There's a Cutlass for most people, and there's some situations you can think of that at least having one of these bolted to the side of your ship or landed on a pad of your massive ship, if you had a big enough ship, even then you could find a use for one. That's all I'm gonna kind of hint at that, uh, and keep this on. Try to keep this topic from veering completely off course, but I believe that the Origin series is the same way. There is an Origin ship, especially a 300 series, for many players. I think the 325, the 315 are rock solid ships. And for even the most competitive players, a 350R is just unique. It's a fun ship. It's a different style of racer. It is truly an interceptor at heart more than an actual racer, but it can do both. And that's a really interesting place to put yourself. The only one I don't like is the 300i itself, which is kind of sad, but it's still a dang good ship. And we saw the Crow's Customs concept art just from a couple days ago that shows that the 300 series is right there on its hologram front and center, and that makes sense. The customization system that's out of game that requires money is not as useful to new players as a system that they can earn in game. How cool would it be to be able to outfit your ship with new equipment and coffee machines and even different weapon systems from the factory, but it's, so to speak, the aftermarket factory. I think that's a really cool concept. And I think that's the beginnings of customization of ships. In game, being purchased with UEC as you earn your way through the universe. That's freaking cool. And it's not exactly what we want. We want to be able to buy anything, anywhere with UEC and be able to put it on our ships, and it remembers exactly where we put it every time. But that's down the road. Right now, in the current world that we're coming into of 315, we're in the infancy of localized inventory, and having that capability is very exciting. It's very unique. It's very novel. So I'm going to change this topic a little bit because I'm kind of just these videos I'm kind of having fun with. I'm having a very kind of fluid conversation with you about what I feel and all this type of live documentation. And then just so you are aware of what the future holds, when we start hitting the semi-final, that's my plan, where I'm going to do my big talk, my big release of hopefully everything, and also a buyer's guide for CCUs. I'm still working on that. Stay tuned. I literally want to go through each and every ship, where it stands right now, and coming into 315. So bear with me. I mean, unless you just want me to click on the link and just talk about it, that's probably not best. I want to actually compare these and talk about what they're worth and good CCU chains from them and to them. So just please have some patience. I promise. I won't forget you folks. And I will look out for you. I'm not going to let you miss out on opportunities for ship sales. So I've already had 2 different people ask me about that. And if you're still antsy and you need to get it done now, the one person who reached out mentioned they were traveling for work and that they needed answers ASAP. So you can always reach out to me. You can reach out to the group in the comments below. Just be aware anybody can comment on there. Or you can reach out directly to me, RedJ, #0001 on Discord. I'm always available. You'd be shocked how accessible I am. So, back to topic. We have some interesting, smaller topics I wanted to cover, but I'm kind of hesitant about how to cover this. So, our friends at I guess I'll say the name, just to be fair, because this is all over Reddit. This is all over the Discords, and I'm starting to mention my sources a little bit more, just to kind of give you the breadcrumb trail if you want to go digging yourself. But we had a push for 315 alpha update to be available, at the very least, what looks like to be in PTU by October 22nd. But wait. Let's be careful here. So Zyloh, once again, that's a name coming up a couple times tonight, has already mentioned that there's a team that jumped the gun a little bit on this post, and that it will be removed very soon from their social outreach. I'm not going to directly show the link because they did pull this post. However, I just want to mention that there is also rumors that there has been recruiting for the test server of Evocati. So those are the folks who can't talk about what they're working on, but just know that there is a rumor out there that they are currently working on getting the group together to do the work, to do the testing. So this coincides very nicely. And this original post that was talking about releasing 315 alpha update on October 22nd also mentions, do not forget about annual CitizenCon 2951 on October 9, which of course is still confirmed. So one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is just to kind of rumor control this a little bit, that we are still having CitizenCon on 2951. CitizenCon 2951, that's the RP year for in-game topic, on October 9. And we're still waiting to find out all the information. In fact, you're probably wondering why I didn't cover Star Citizen Live on last Friday, just this Friday. The answer is it wasn't held. They were doing more shooting for video shooting for CitizenCon. And what was happening was they had unexpectedly needed a couple more hours to finish their video shoots, so they had to cut Star Citizen Live. So there is already production level video being done for CitizenCon, for the discussions that are going to be there. And this is, we're not even in October yet. But you got to think, it's only a couple weeks away that we're going to be seeing the changeover to the CitizenCon ramp up and then into CitizenCon. We won't even be surprised. I think also that 315 update, if I'm reading into this correctly, it was originally planned to be October 22nd, and we can infer from them having to pull this topic that they don't want to commit to that date yet, and they also don't want to announce that date yet either. Is a fair estimate to say. I believe that they're going to announce 315 at Digital Citizen Con on October 9, and it's probably going to be, if I was to estimate, because it seems like if I don't estimate, everybody doesn't like me, and if I get the wrong date, everybody loves to make fun of it. But you know what? We'll have fun with this. My random speculation up thought is that end of October. I would love to see it then. That's why I'm saying it that way. If I was to randomly speculate, I would say 315 PTU, just the first iteration of it by October 30. It would be fair. You know, the 31st, 30th, 31st. So that's my random thought. Now, what it'll actually be, it'll probably start leaning into November. It all depends on how it goes with Evo Cati. And don't forget, you have two things that are going to kind of weigh this down. Up until Digital Citizen Con, you're going to have a lot of work being done by all the teams at CIG to make sure Citizen Con goes off without a hitch. It's a wonderful event for all the people involved, and that includes the backers, who are truly the fans, being there. And don't forget, it is digital though, so we have this interesting chasm here, where teams do not have to fly it across the globe to make a Digital Citizen Con happen, as I understand it. Although Jared is flying around, I don't see it as like a normal Citizen Con. They have team members, core important team members from every part of their company come in for CitizenCon, do panels live, and they are at a commission for a long period of time getting ready for CitizenCon and then recovering from CitizenCon. With this being a digital CitizenCon and pre-recordings being done all the way out at the middle of September, I'm curious how many people are actually going to be live at the Digital Citizen Con hosted location. Or is this going to be a situation where it's hosted live across the world at different locations, such as different gaming studios? So you might have the Turbulent crew up in Canada, hailing out of there, coming down digitally. And you have the teams out of the UK, the teams out of Germany, teams out of Los Angeles office, and just outside of Austin office, all these different facilities. Are they going to be hailing in and being able to do this digitally? Like, is it going to be something where the LA office is going to host it, so to speak, but everyone else is virtually attending? Or is this going to be something where all the staff have to be at this location and just none of the fans can be there? Very interesting stuff. I don't know. And I can't wait to see how they roll this out. I will say it's awesome to see that it's digital because it's very fair. We have a lot of different rules in the books for stuff that must, a lot of things going on in the world. And I'm glad to see that everyone has a fair shake at being able to attend. Everyone can attend. And that's pretty cool. It would have been cooler to see this live one day. I still have yet to make it to a CitizenCon, but down the road we'll have that opportunity. And this just ain't that year. But hey, I'm definitely going to be there for Digital CitizenCon. Speaking of Digital CitizenCon, if this is your first CitizenCon, remember that there's always a digital goodies pack. So keep your account have about $10, $15 for store credit to be ready to pick up that pack. Usually it has an armor set. In previous years, they had a duster, which I wasn't a big fan of the duster. It was like a clothing piece, and it wasn't that... It was all right. The duster was cool, but the logo was all right. It was just too big. But the armor set was nice. And they've had... I have an SMG, I think it was, that was in the IAE colors, and that was really cool, and I'm pretty sure that was CitizenCon related. So they've had some really cool one-offs. I know you're worried about inventory. I wouldn't be. I honestly feel that there's going to be a way to get these cosmetics back and not have to sweat losing them when that day comes in 315. Keep the course, keep the faith, keep a keep your bug reporting on ready to rock. But but I wouldn't sweat picking up the goodies packs and other things like that. And just know, even at worst comes to worst, if you lose something, you'll have it back next patch. And there's a patch like every other day, every day when it comes to the PTUs, especially. So we'll get hopefully a lot of the kinks ironed out. So we'll have a very exciting October coming up, where we'll start seeing the fruits of the labor of all the teams across the world at CitizenCon, and that'll really set the tone for 315 coming into the PTU, hopefully very, very soon. I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic. I know I like to coin that term as much as I can, because that's what it is. I have cautious hype, tempered hype. Um, where I think a lot of folks on here would accuse me of being a little hype, but at the same time, I try to give you both sides of the coin here. Um, I'll be honest with you, I probably won't be picking up many ships with this ship showdown. Going back to that topic a little bit, something that I can actually show you on your screen. I think that for starters, I might pull a Retaliator Bomber out of buyback, especially if this hits semi. I'll probably grab it out of buyback so I can get that paint job. Uh, as for any of the others, the 600i Explorer is another one of those I'd upgrade to in a heartbeat if it's ready for the semi. So it's one or the other. What a coincidence, right? That leaves me in a pretty good position. Um, I really don't see too much otherwise. I might turn a ground vehicle into an MPOV cargo, maybe, if it hits the semi, but even then, I'm kind of like, it's a maybe. And I already have a C2 Herc, so I strongly suspect this puppy's going to go further, but we'll see. We'll see. It's got a lot of competition. Either one of these will give it a strong competition, especially the Carrack. So yeah, very excited. Uh, will the Argo cargo go all the way? As you've heard me explain, I'm not so sure. I think it's going to have a heck of a fight with the Carrack and have a very fun semi-duel, a lot like we're seeing with the 600i and the Cutlass Black. You know, the king of utility and the king of the everyman's luxury, basically. Or I guess the Phoenix would be the everyman's luxury. The 600i is a little bit of a business class luxury, but still, it's a heck of a ship, and there's a lot to bring to the table by both of these ships. I would say that the weapon selection on the Explorer is combined with the utility of the Explorer, having the vehicle and cargo bay underneath. It's just very attractive. If they'd fix up the interior a little bit, it's got a lot going for it. Um, yeah, I think there's a few more amenities that should be added, but that's a topic for another day. And that's kind of where I'll leave this one. I think that there's a lot of exciting things. The vote is, if you haven't already, please remember to keep voting. Remember, they're free. You just need to have an account, and you can go rock the election and see what you want to win, and keep up the good fight. You know, it's very exciting stuff. I think with Zyloh's comments, it's pretty cool. Let me see if I can grab that really quick while I still got you. So while I still got you, this is Zyloh's post about the Argo cargo. Friendly bet. If the Argo cargo beats the Carrack next round, I'll wear Argo themed makeup and tweet a picture. That's how confident I am in my Carrack smashing this thing to pieces in round two. So there you have it. Very exciting, very interesting bet. I can't tell you enough how fun this is. And everybody's very energy around this is pretty dang cool. Um, we'll see how it goes. So, Princess Bride. Never bet a Sicilian over the game of death. uh, yeah, so uh, I'll tell you what, I'll throw a link in for this. You can follow the energy, see a lot of the excitement. And yeah, wish you all a good night. Fly safe. Let me know. Also, if you have any feedback on this topic, if you enjoy these type of more informal discussions, let me know. If you want them kind of split up a little bit, like, hey, not too many of these, that's another thing you can let me know about. I greatly value feedback. All right. For real this time. Take care. Fly safe.